Good morning, everyone. Leslie Myrick here, interior designer and business coach with Nancy Quinn. We have the fabulous Kim Vanderpool here today of Fresh Impact Social Media, and we're talking about branding, which is a topic I love. So, welcome, Kim.
Thanks for having me. It's always great to be here. And this is a fun topic. We're going to divide just a little bit off of just necessarily social media. This is going to be looking more at your whole online presence.
Okay.
But I hopefully everybody will walk away with some good little tidbits. So a lot of times when we think of branding, a lot of people think it's fonts, colors, design, maybe those kind of elements. But really, when it comes to branding for an online presence, it's defining your voice and your vibe. And
I was going to ask, I'm like, are we just talking about the visual brand, the graphics, or is this like brand is what people think about you and say about you? That kind of take on it?
Yes, definitely what people, because that's not what most people, when they come into our marketing club, they'll think, oh, well, this is what my logo, and they'll spend months and they won't do anything because they're looking at their perfect logo or their font size or their font, which is important. But I always remind them, like when I first started, I thought Fresh Impact, I loved bright colors. And so it looked like a kindergarten classroom throughout my branding. And my daughter, who is an architect, goes, Mom, you need to change that. So you need to, like, that's not your audience that you want to attract. And so it's more than just the colors and the fonts and the brands. And we grow and we evolve as our brand and our brand voice. So some questions to think about is, what kind of feeling do I want to create when people see my brand? So how do you want people to respond? What do you want them to think of you? Ask yourself some questions like, are you bold, timeless, whimsical, or are you luxury? And let that come through your branding message. We had an incident when we first started, well, probably like a year or two in. My brand is, I would say, more of the professional, more of that clean, fresher look. And this gal sold snarky, like really snarky t-shirts.
Okay.
And I tried to fit into her brand, but my personality couldn't because I am not a snarky person. And and she said, she goes, I looked at your brand and I didn't know for sure if we could, like, if you could do it. And I said, well, let's try it. I couldn't do it. Like, it just wasn't, because it was a lot of vulgar stuff and I just wasn't against, it's just wasn't along with me. And so people see your brand. She could tell by my brand, she questioned if I would be a good fit for her, but we are willing to try it. And so that's what I want people to walk away and think. So everything from your visuals, your captions, and even the client interactions should align with what your personality is. And the biggest thing is, we don't have to change our personality to fit somebody else's personality.
I love that. You get to design your brand how you want it to be.
Correct. And that is something a trap I've fallen into, and I've seen others fall into, is that we see these experts, these big designers, and look what they're doing.
Yeah.
It works for them because that's their personality. You are going to show up onto that job with that client or that discovery call with your personality. And if you have a different personality online than what you show up with, you do not have any trust. They lose trust immediately. And we really want to build that know, like, and trust factor. So it's more than just your colors and your fonts. It's more, what kind of feeling are you doing? So one kind of a pro tip that you could do is choose 3 to 5 brand adjectives. So about you that you want to resemble your brand. So are you elevated, approachable, refined, fun, modern? And then filter all your content that you create through that lens. So when you're creating your content, does it align with the adjectives that you decided for your brand? And then we want to make sure that you're visually cohesive across platforms. When I'm doing audits, it's amazing how you can go to LinkedIn and it looks like a total different interior designer than when you go to the Instagram, and then you go to their Facebook and it's totally different. Yeah. So you want to use the same type of consistency, because inconsistency creates confusion.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we're consistent. So everything from your profile photo and your logo. Typically for designers, if your company is known for you, I encourage you to use your image, your photos for your profile pictures. If you are a company that's a larger brand and you've got multiple designers, then that's where you would use that logo, or else the image of the person that just, created the company, the forefront of that company.
Yeah.
Whenever we use profile pictures of ourselves, again, we build that know, like, and trust much quicker than just using a logo. You want to make sure your brand colors and fonts are consistent and they represent your brand well. I kind of giggle sometimes, like most designers you work with design beautiful, beautiful homes, beautiful rooms. But when they come and start working in Canva, it looks like my 2-year-old did it. So make sure that you are representing your brand well. And if you don't have that design with using the Canva, just show images of your stuff then. And they don't have to be professional. Yeah. People just want to see your work that you're doing. But most importantly, they want to see you in the work. So if you can get people to take a picture of you right now, it is really imperative. Like if you're on an Instagram grid and you have the 9 squares, that at least 1 or 2 lines see a picture of you somewhere in there. That is how it's going to stand. You're going to stand out compared to your competitors. You're just going to build that know, like, and trust so much quicker. And then Instagram has the highlight covers, and sometimes people can really establish their brand if they make sure that they've got a template. They're all the same kind. Now, if you are more of a free spirit and you're more like the bohemian design, like everything kind of goes, then maybe you don't need highlighted covers. Maybe you can just use whatever images show up in your highlights. So kind of making sure it reflects your brand. And then even your photography style, there's a way to make that so that consistently shows. So like we tend to have more of the white and navy blue. It's more of a cleaner look. So I have a place where I get my photos to use for our brand, because I like the way that they line up with the image that we want to present.
You're talking about stock photos there, Kim, right? Like you're shooting the images that you are using to communicate your brand and your vibe.
But then I also, when I went and had a branding photo shoot, I showed her the images I used from there. So then she could take my branding and make them kind of that same vibe, so that people aren't confused when they come to my feed. And I have one that's black and yellow and one that's white and blue. So making sure that's the same. You can use Canva templates, but I caution designers. What's really working now is images, plain images. That works. Now, Canva templates are good to have as filler posts, but really the images are working really well. And so take a look. That's the pro tip, is take a look at your brand, or have somebody, a colleague or a trusted friend, look at your brand and say, do you know what I'm trying to convey? Do you know what my messaging is? And that way you can get feedback and make any tweaks that needed. Now, create a simple, memorable marketing strategy real quickly is we don't need to be on every platform. You need to show up where your clients are. And I know we say that over and over and over, but it's a message that everybody needs to hear. Yeah. And you need to show up with consistency and clarity, and making sure that what you're saying is consistent across all the platforms.
Yeah.
And then using a 3-part content mix, educate, inspire, and connect. And so those are the 3 things that when you're stuck, like what do I post, try to fill in one of those 3 buckets, and you'll be good, but making sure it's consistent with your brand. And then using your brand voice through your captions. So if you're warm and nurturing, make sure your tone of voice when you're writing your captions. If you're using AI to help you write your captions, put that in there saying, I want a warm and nurturing caption. Or if you're more bold and to the point, say, I'm more bold and to the point. This is the kind of caption I want. And they will help you write that, and then you finesse it according to your words. So a reminder, your brand is a story people tell when you're not in the room, just like you said. And then when they're scrolling by on Instagram or your other social platforms, people don't realize that it's like a big room that people get to see into your business. And so what kind of feeling do you want them to evoke?
I love it, Kim. Your very first point about like, what are 5 adjectives that describe you? This to me ties into Nancy's Your Business in Words exercise, because that starts with 3 adjectives that describe you, your personality, your business. And I love the idea of, if you've already done that exercise, or if not, you can download it on Nancy's website. those three can be a great starting point. And then what are maybe two more that do help complete that picture? And that as like a filter to run everything through. I love that idea. Like you can even tell Chat GPT, here are my 5, brand attributes or brand adjectives. Keep these in mind when crafting all content for me for social media.
Right.
And that would be such like, what a tricky exercise to do too, though. Like it sounds easy, but also
Right.
how do you narrow it down? And please don't use the word creative. We're all creative. That's
Right.
not a unique brand adjective. You
No,
got to think
right.
beyond that.
And since I do work with a lot of designers, it's hard for designers to stand out. They
Yes.
think, because all they want to do is show their beautiful work, which is great. But if I'm looking for a designer, I may look at your work, but I want to see you have a cup of coffee in your hand, because then I know you get me. I want to see that you're reading a book on a Saturday morning, because then you're my people. And so don't be afraid to showcase your personality a little bit, because that's what's going to set you aside. If you look at the designers that are just knocking it out of the park on Instagram, their personality shines through, and you can see that, whether they're doing it themselves or they have an agency doing it for them, they've captured that personality. And that's what we want to do, is we want to showcase our personality so we stand out from everybody else.
Yep. And I know there's that, I can just hear design like, but I want my work to speak for itself. Yes, you have to have great work and great project photos. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, Kim, month after month, consistently, the best producing photos for me on Instagram, the most engagement, comments, likes, whatever, they are without a doubt pictures of me. I'm like, come on, people. Like, I'm not here to try to model for you. I want to show you my work. But people, you nailed it. Like, your work has to be great. But then, okay, there's a million great designers, but they like you because you have a weird looking dog and read the same kind of books, or you swear a lot in your captions, or you never swear at all in your captions and you're very modest and polite. Like, those are things that seem like no big deal or obvious, but I love this idea that if you can really nail down, like, what are 5 words that describe your business? And if you can show up with pictures of you, with videos of you, with your work, with captions, with content that all have gone through that filter, like, you're nailing it. That's your brand.
An example is, we have one designer in the club, and she goes hiking, and she'll have a picture of herself and her dog hiking with her. Automatically, if I was looking for designer, she would pique my interest, because I love to hike. So then I know that she understands what maybe I'm going to try to create in my own home, because I want to bring in that environment. So people do, it is important. And I know one of the designers last week in our club said, well, my kid said don't need to show anything about myself. Like, I should just show my photos. And it's like, well, your kids don't have a marketing degree, one.
And your kids aren't your ideal clients.
And I don't have a marketing degree either, but I'm looking at other people's Instagrams that are doing really well, and they are showcasing themselves. They are showing what their interests are a little bit. I mean, you have to use good judgment, but yes, but that brand, it's more than the fonts, it's more than the colors, it's more than the pretty things we create on Canva. It's what kind of feeling do you want to evoke when people come and visit you?
I love it. You nailed it. What kind of feeling do you want to evoke? That is your brand.
Right. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Kim, you mentioned the club. I know people are going like, wait, what club? I want to be in Kim's club. So this is Get It Done Club. Kim, share a little bit about that if anyone hasn't heard of it.
Yeah. So the Get It Done Club, we meet a couple times a week in open office hours on Zoom, and we answer any questions you may have. If you don't know what to post, if you don't know how to set up your email sequence or lead magnet or anything you have in questions with online marketing, we answer the questions. We do a micro training once a week. So we talk about whatever the new trends are. Last week, we discussed the 3 newest trends on Instagram and how they could implement those into their marketing goals. Yep. So we have that. We have a scheduler that they have access to, so they can schedule all their content out so they can be consistent. And then we have the Learning Hub, where we have all kinds of trainings and planners and templates and anything else they may need to help with their marketing.
So you are there as the marketing guru and mentor and guide, which I love. So don't be stuck on social. There are wonderful humans like Kim who know what they're doing and are there to help you. So if you're interested, check out freshimpactsocialmedia.com. Kim is fantastic to work with. We hear such great things from our Profit Insiders about the Get It Done Club and how productive they are able to be during those open office hours windows. So thank you for sharing your expertise and helping us
Thank you for having me.
Social's tricky. And if you can nail those 5 adjectives, work on refining your brand, get photos of you out there, get Kim's support. I mean, you are miles ahead.
Right. You want to make it work if you're going to put that time into it.
Bingo.
Yep.
Awesome. Kim, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you back again here soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good week.